On the surface, Oxbourg may appear as a perfect utopian paradise of a city. After all, we're bringing home a very healthy amount of monthly income at just over 1.2 million. On top of that, our population is slowly increasing, so everything looks good, right? Well, our population info view reveals a much different story. As you can see here, we're currently dealing with a 46.6% unemployment rate, and that means nearly half of the city is currently jobless and is not contributing to the economy because all of these people are not paying taxes. It's a miracle we're making any money at all, and this problem is a direct consequence of the massive city expansion that we've been doing recently, where thousands of new residents are moving into town and they just don't have any jobs. And if we check our workplace availability, this will reveal that out of the 133,000 people that we have in the city, there's only 150 open positions. And I just saw a second ago this was 350-ish, and it quickly dropped down to 150. So all of these jobs are quickly being absorbed, and there's just not enough jobs for the entire population. So that is why in this episode, we're going to be hopefully reducing our unemployment rate enough to where we could, in theory, be doubling our monthly balance. If we provide all of these people jobs, I think it's not unrealistic to think that we should be making a lot more money than this. So we're actually going to be killing two birds with one stone in this episode, as just a few weeks ago I released a poll on YouTube asking, what do you guys think of the skyline? Is it too tall? Is it too short? Is it not big enough? What should I do with the downtown? I was just kind of trying to hear your guys' thoughts on what the downtown skyline looks like. And most of you guys are saying the exact same thing, in that the skyline is perfectly fine as is, so height-wise, it looks just fine. However, in width or in footprint, it is much too small. And the more I look around at downtown, the more I tend to agree with this. As you can see, we have these ultra super tall 100-story plus skyscrapers in the middle of the city, and not 3 blocks away, it quickly fans out into these little tiny row houses, and it doesn't leave much of a transition into these surrounding neighborhoods. Some areas of downtown, I think we are okay. So if we look at downtown from the front, just like this, we have our little Emerson district where we have a beautiful fade going into the surrounding industrial zone. So I think we're good over here. But if we look at the other side of downtown, look at this. It's simply, the downtown just simply stops. I mean, this is just a direct consequence of having the central train station here. If this train station wasn't here, it would be pretty easy to kind of fan this out. To fix this side of downtown, maybe we can add a few shorter skyscrapers on the side, but not much can be done about this side. However, this side of downtown, I agree with you guys. It's a very sharp, abrupt decline into these small neighborhoods. So we're going to be doing two things this episode. Number one is we're going to be revitalizing downtown by adding some additional commercial and office skyscrapers to both make the skyline look a little bit better. We're going to get that proper density transition going, and we're going to be providing some extra jobs in doing so. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. But first, we just have to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing here. So if I check my workplace availability, it's now down to 33 positions available. And yeah, I guess this is not really going to give us a sense of what we need because all of these jobs are completely filled. But looking at our population education level could give us some hints into what we should actually be doing here. So we can see right here, if I round things off, we currently have about 30% of the entire city that is highly educated. About 14% is well educated. These two levels of educated citizens typically will try to find office jobs. And if we look over here, our poorly educated population makes up about 36% of of our entire city's demographics, most of the poorly educated will favor industrial jobs. So that means providing more offices should help out, but we also cannot forget about our poorly educated folks who need some industrial jobs. Now, this is kind of strange because our demand doesn't necessarily reflect this at all. I think that these metrics should be flipped, I would assume. Like, I don't know why we have such a high residential demand if we have no jobs available for them. I think that's kind of weird, but we're just going to ignore that for now, and we're going to start plopping away here at some skyscrapers. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is if we click on some of these super tall signature buildings, and we can see that this 100-story plus skyscraper only has 82 employees. And I think this is a result of a bug that's currently in the game. I'm not really sure how to fix this bug apart from installing a couple of mods that could help out. However, I've discovered that by demolishing this building, for example, and replopping it. Oh, I guess I gotta turn on anarchy, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. And look at that, we can have up to 504 jobs. So I'm sure this is probably a major contributing factor to the lack of office jobs here in downtown. This building as well, our financial center, 44 jobs for this super massive tall skyscraper. Same thing if I demolish it and plop it again. This is part of the China pack. I think it was here, or was it in this orientation? No, it was like this. I think that's how I had it. Here we can have up to 210 employees, which is better, but it's still not really where we want it. If I take a look at this tiny little skyscraper here, for example, we got 252 employees in this one little building. So, you know, in theory, we should have a couple thousand in this building at least. But we'll just ignore that for now. It still is going to help a lot by plopping these additional buildings. What about this one over here? The Peony Tower, 57 employees. Let's see how much we get by replopping this one. I think this is a signature building. Yep. So let's do that. Oh, we got a different color. I think it still looks okay. 134. So, I mean, we should really have a couple thousand in these buildings, but I mean, we still tripled the amount of jobs that we used to have. What about this one? I think this is actually a zonable building. 45 employees. Okay, well, let's go ahead and demolish this one. I'm pretty sure this is a zonable office building from the Chinese pack. And it's probably a 6x6, I would imagine. Oh, I think it's this one. Yes. So let's try to fit it exactly as it was. Oh yeah, look at this. 428 jobs. Perfect. Okay, well, we should have made quite a dent in our job availability, I would assume. Let's see here. Have we already made a dent? Yeah, look at this. It's gone down by a few points. We'll give it a few minutes for the simulation to run. I'm sure this is probably going to drop under 40% just with these small changes we've already made. But I mean, isn't it hilarious how this little skyscraper has 336 employees, whilst this big skyscraper here, which one was it? This one has 135. Very strange. Okay. So we've worked on downtown a little bit. I'm not really sure what else can be done because it appears that most zonable buildings are fine. Like, oh, that's residential. See, like, I think that's pretty realistic. 98 employees. We've got this one. Oh, this is a mixed usage building with 41 employees. So I think most of these are fine. 23, we probably should have a bit more in this one. 84. So, you know what? Rather than replopping the entirety of downtown, I think we're going to get farther by just expanding downtown, like I said we would in the beginning of this episode. But what about this one? This is a signature building. 13 employees. Yeah, we're definitely gonna redo this one. Which way was it? I think, was it in this orientation? I think it was. Yeah, we'll replop that. 94. So yeah, just like this, we have like 7 or 8 times the amount of jobs. And this one? Okay, yeah, this one's fine. This is actually a default signature building, 266. So I think we're okay with that. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, guys, if you know the source of this weird problem. I think I read about some commercial bugs that can affect commercial zones, but I wasn't aware of any office bugs still remaining in the game. So let me know, guys. All right, so we've got the central business district done, replopping all of these buildings, and the jobs are slowly filling in. Beautiful. So now I want to work on what I've been calling Old Town. So I imagine this being one of the oldest parts of the city. You know, all the buildings look relatively old and historic, and the level of them is obviously much shorter. But I'm not opposed to maybe rezoning some of these buildings and getting some medium height skyscrapers going in here. So let's see if we can't just fit some zones in and replace some of the buildings that are already here. Now, a lot of this, or most of these neighborhoods, are hand plopped, but let's try to see if we can't just like make some room for some bigger skyscrapers. What about this building here? This is a vanilla, boring old apartment building. So let's, oh, I must have plopped this because there's no zonage. And look at this, this is a perfect opportunity to get a decently tall skyscraper in here. So not anything too crazy. We of course don't want the tallest buildings in the city to be over here, but definitely if we can get like some medium height skyscrapers, that would be cool. What about over here? Maybe if we get like a nice 4x4 building going, a little taller, but that's not too bad. Honestly, is this an apartment building? Yeah, this is an apartment building. I really don't like this building, to be honest. It should be facing the other way at the very least, because like, why would you not have any windows facing the water? Let's replace this big old honkin' building. Here, let's do this. Let's see what we get. Looks like we're getting one that's almost just as tall. And we'll just give these buildings a minute to get built. We'll just accelerate the simulation. And in the meantime, I'll talk about what's going to happen to the coast here. So the reason why the coast is totally undeveloped is I'm waiting for bridges and piers to come out because I have some plans on what's going to happen over here. And one of the things that I can say is we're going to have some tall-ish, you know, condo buildings that are going to be built over here that is going to, I guess, be part of downtown. So you can expect there to be more taller buildings over here. Now this is, again, yeah, another residential tower. I don't know, I think that one's fine. What about over here? What can we fit? Let's do another office building just like this. Gotta be careful not to have too much office density, otherwise people are gonna start to complain of noise pollution because commercial and office zones tend to be a bit noisy. But yeah, let's just see how these buildings are going to zone in. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Pretty good right there. Now, you know, normally you might not have like a commercial building with like row houses right next to them. Perhaps in this case, what I'll do is let's get some high density commercial in here. And then this will kind of act as a buffer. So I think it'll still look cool, but it'll definitely be a bit more functional and it'll provide more jobs as well. So here, I'm just gonna have a little alleyway going in the back. Remove these unnecessary sidewalks. There we go. Oh, we just have a copy of this building being constructed. I was kind of afraid of that happening. Here, let's see. Let's maybe replop this building. What can we possibly fit in here that would look cool? Oh. I mean, this one might look cool. But, I don't know. Let's maybe go for something a little shorter. I don't want to go too crazy here. But our options might be a little limited. Oh, this one might look cool, actually. Let's try it. Oh, great. Well, that's a copy of this building. Fantastic. Okay. Well, let's remove it. That's probably the same one. What about this one? This one looks nice. This actually looks like a condo building. Let's do that. And then I gotta destroy the crane. There, yeah, that actually looks residential. Funny enough. So yeah, that unfortunately is something you gotta deal with when zoning in buildings. You tend to get a lot of copies sometimes. But there we go. We have somewhat of a transition going. What do we do? See, my problem is I get attached to these neighborhoods and I don't want to demolish them. Like, I really like this block. It's really nice. We have an Art Deco building here and some smaller apartment buildings. Like, there's nothing wrong with this block. But, you know, we still need kind of a transition going. So yeah, let's just do it. You know, I mean, there's plenty of these buildings elsewhere. So let's upzone this block and let's see what kind of buildings we can plop. This might be a good contender. This as well. Oh, actually, I think we can fit this right in here without destroying this Art Deco building. Let's do that. I know this corner building is copied like 50 times throughout the city, so I'm not really upset about demolishing it. But let's do this one. Yeah, not bad. It could be a little taller though. I think we should go for a bit of a taller building. If we can find one, that is. I don't think there's a taller version of this. This one might be a bit better. Oh, this one too. This is cool. I think I want to go a bit taller, but you know what? Let's just get rid of it. Rip the band-aid off and... I think this one looks all right. Beautiful. And then what do we do about here? Do we have maybe just a little plaza? We can plop a couple of parquets. Yeah, you know what? Let's just keep it simple. I'm just gonna plop a nice parquet. Oh, sweet. Don't even have to zone in anything. And look at that, guys. Just like that, we have a much better transition into some of our taller, or I'm sorry, some of our shorter buildings. But like I said, there's going to be some nice condos and stuff along the water, so there will be more buildings that are going to sprawl up. So I think this area is done. Over here in Emerson, we're all set. Nothing to worry about here. And now we're going to work on whatever this neighborhood is. We don't have any neighborhoods here, so probably going to want to fix that. But this kind of pains me to have to redevelop this neighborhood because as it stands, I really like it. It's too bad I just didn't build this a bit farther out, away from downtown. But what we're about to do here is not unrealistic. You know, cities grow and old neighborhoods are redeveloped. So we're going to be doing exactly that here in Oxbourg today. However, I'm not going to simply be destroying all of this. What I'm going to try to do instead is upzone everything using some mixed use zonage, just to see if we can't just maybe get some bigger apartment buildings built up here that also happen to provide jobs as well. And then in between, we can then go ahead and manually plop a few skyscrapers. But I will say, these 2 blocks, I ain't touching, because the zoning, I remember it being very unfriendly, and I had to manually plop a lot of these buildings. But with a lot of them being kind of like bigger apartment size buildings, I think they should actually contribute to that transitionary density that we're looking for. But this neighborhood for sure has got to go, unfortunately. But it is just so close to Grove Street, which is a main artery for the city. You know, it's like prime location for an office building. So we're going to unzone all of these little paths here. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to manually plop a reasonably high skyscraper alongside this road. So let's see what we can find here. Let's just go all lot width and height, or depth rather. And let's sift through our building menus here to find what we could fit. This building looks cool, but I'm not really fond of the parking lot in front of it. Could probably fit better as a office park kind of building. Perfect. That looks awesome. And look at this, guys. Our first buildings are beginning to zone in here, and look at the results we can get simply by upzoning all of these lots. So for example, over here I have a bunch of row houses, which I'm a little reluctant to destroy. It pains me to do this, but I think it's necessary. But look at this. Oh, okay, some of these buildings I'm not going to touch because my zoning appears not to be very cooperative right now, but I think this set of buildings is okay. And just by doing that, we should get some taller buildings zoning in here. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I think I'm going to stick with both mixed use and then maybe a little bit of urban promenades just to get some variance. And yes, look at that. We should be getting some taller buildings in here. You know, I said I wasn't gonna touch both of these blocks, but I think this side of the row houses should be fine because my zones appear okay on this side. So let's do that. think I found a contender for right here. Beautiful. I think that looks all right. And then we're going to upzone all of this. All right, it looks like we're gonna get a little back alleyway coming out back. That's totally fine. There. All right, well, that's actually looking better already. Now, I know we're trying desperately to get more jobs in the city, and it seems counterintuitive to plop any residential whatsoever, but for the sake of aesthetics, I think we shouldn't shy away from plopping at least a few residential skyscrapers, as there is plenty of really good contenders to help us in our quest for a realistic, transitionary neighborhood. And I think this block right here, right by this main arterial road, is a perfect location for this kind of building. If I plop this here, look at this, a super modern condo tower overlooking the views of downtown. I think this building fits in really well right here. And then right across the street in this block, I think there's, again, some pretty cool buildings that we can plop down, such as, I believe it's a 3x3. Actually, this building's not bad at all. Nice European mid-rise tower. Perhaps we can squeeze this one in somewhere. I'll just go ahead and plop it right here. And then the residents from, the residents from this building would, of course, get beautiful views of the park and the university. But there's a specific building that I'm looking for, which I'm pretty sure is a 3x3. Not this one. Well, it turns out it was a 4x4, but this is the one right here. We've plopped it before in a few locations around town, and look at this. We have our mini, luxurious condo area to further expand downtown. And you know what? I mean, we have been demolishing quite a few homes this episode, so it's probably best that we have just a couple extra to allow people to move in. And this leaves us with a pretty decent chunk of zonage to rebuild. But here, let's do a little bit of commercial. Oh, that's probably not gonna work. It's probably part of this building. Okay, well, let's go into commercial. Lot width 2. There, we'll just do that. Well, guys, with all the work that we've done, if we take a look here, our unemployment rate is right around 32%. So we've brought the unemployment rate down by about 15%, I would say. And we can actually verify that by looking in our statistics menu, and we can see here that we have a slow and steady rise in unemployment over the history of Oxbourg, and then we have a sharp decline to where we are now. So we've gone from about 27,000 jobless folks all the way down to, where are we at now? Maybe like 18,000, something like that. So, it's fair to say that we've shaved 10,000 people off the unemployment list. And if we take a look at our economy here, wow, what a difference this has made already. Oh my God, that's actually crazy. I don't know if all of this can be attributed to more people working, because monthly balance seems to just bounce up and down all the time. But now we're hovering around 6 million in profit every month. So that's pretty crazy. The only thing is we're still at about 31.5 unemployment, and we can actually see that. Okay, well, just a second ago, our unemployment was actually on the rise. It seems to be hovering around where it is now. But if we want to decrease this any further, we're going to have to provide a lot more jobs. So at this point, our job, no pun intended, is only about halfway done. So we got to continue with the expansion of the city. However, I feel like downtown is in a pretty good state as is. So it still retains its original height, and we've basically just grew downtown we've basically just grown it out. And I'm really enjoying the look of this. It's pretty cool. Now, no matter what, there's going to be kind of like a sharp drop in downtown because we have this big park over here. We have the university. So if I build a whole bunch of skyscrapers here, it's just going to drop off a cliff. And then we have kind of our central park. And I have no intention of changing that. But I mean, even with the growth that we've done to downtown, I'm pretty happy with this. I think this looks pretty good. Now, I've kind of already planned this out. I doubt this is going to fix much of the problem. However, it's going to improve it a little bit. I've painted some streets over here in our industrial zone. And what I'm going to do is just zone in some low density offices. So I'm going to build a mixture of offices and industry. However, I want to be very careful with how much industry I zone over here, because if we check the wind direction, if there's too much pollution coming from this area, it's going to get blown right into our beach area, which we don't want. So I'm going to be very lenient on the industry. So I'm just going to kind of zone some in, mixed in with all of our offices here. And like I was saying earlier in this episode, we still have quite a bit of demand for some unskilled workers. So we don't want to forget to build industry. Oh, and it looks like our office demand is no longer existent. So in this case, I'm just going to keep going with industry. Hopefully the pollution spread won't be too bad. But maybe I'll just zone a few offices for the eventuality that we're going to get some more demand. There, so I'm going to let this zone in, and I'll catch up with you guys in just a moment. And with the addition of this new mini industrial zone, we can now see that our unemployment rate has dropped below 30%. So I think that's what we're going to be able to manage this episode. I have a few plans on how we're going to reduce unemployment further in the next coming episodes, and that involves some pretty large industrial zones over here. I reckon that this island over here will kind of bring back some memories of Belmont. If you guys remember the City Skylines 1 series that I had going a couple of years ago, where we had literally an industrial island. It was an island completely filled with industries and a large port. So I don't know, I'm kind of thinking of having the same thing in Oxbourg here too. But yeah, I'd say this is a pretty successful episode, having dropped, you know, the unemployment rate by like 20 points. So that's pretty exciting. And going forward, I'm going to try to adopt a more balanced approach to expanding the city. So rather than just blasting a brand new residential zone in the city, we're just going to take our time, maybe work a bit more granularly, and slowly build out the city. But in my opinion, downtown's looking great, better than ever. Checking our statistics view, we can see here the little effect that our little industrial zone has had. So right now, I reckon we're hovering around 17,000 unemployed at the moment, which is a lot better than where we started. And of course, this makes complete sense because if we zone small industry areas and low density, oh my god, I'm getting industry this whole time. I'm looking for some low density offices. You can see here that we got 23 jobs here. We got up to 38 jobs over here. So we're not seeing the 200, 300 jobs that we're seeing in these big skyscrapers. So of course this is going to take up a lot more room. It's not quite as densely packed as these big skyscrapers. So it will require a lot of zoning to quash the unemployment. But of course we don't want the entire city to be skyscrapers. So we'll just have to find a new spot to get some of these new jobs in. And whoop-de-doo, another death wave that is apparently part of the game now. And I'm not even going to do anything for this because they just seem to solve themselves given enough time. And that'll just about do it for this episode. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, if you enjoyed the episode, drop a like, drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, consider becoming a YouTube member or a patron to get early access to all my videos. Guys, thanks so much once again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.